trouble because that's what the government wants them to do. But the year after that, if they have QE3, they'll have hyperinflation. That's inflation, and what happens during hyperinflation is that people get paid and they go spend their money right away because they don't trust their own currency because it continues to go down in value against other currencies, but they also go down in value versus gold and silver, which all the currencies have been doing for 11 years, and an average of both of them around 20% per year. And so when you have a situation like that, hyperinflation comes in, people get rid of their money, it causes more inflation, and finally the country or the region or the world economically collapses. And they go into a deflationary depression, and that's when you're going to see the people rise up in every country.
Right.
And that is going to happen.
I mean, I'm of the opinion, and Griff, what do you think? They can't keep this going forever, right?
No, I think you're very optimistic, Bob, at the timeline. I don't know how I've been able to keep it going this long. Many of the figures that you're quoting, this is a difficult thought for me to style, to put into words. So help me on this one. Many of the figures that you have mentioned are based on a bogus assumption in the very beginning about money, about taxes, and about wealth, and about dollars. It's all bogus from the very beginning. And you can't say yes, it's bogus, and then jump into so many dollars and the people are making $2 a day, but there are no dollars. What are we talking about here? Help me on that thought, if you can expand on that.
Well, we just call it purchasing power.
You could do that.
If the goods are available.
Right.
Now, this is not a one-dimensional problem. This is a multi-dimensional problem.
That's right.
With the availability of goods affecting the money and the worth and survival of the people. But there are other things going on that equally affect it, like weather. We know that the Russians have been manipulating weather over North America for many, many years. It's no question about that, and the United States has been trying to combat it out of Wright-Patterson. We know that. We got into the program. So that has an effect on the money. The money has an effect on the weather. The weather has an effect on availability of goods. Most of it's coming from China and from outside the country. Their economies have an effect on what we do and our survival based on availability of their goods. And there are other things. What do you think?
I think that is true. I was involved in the weather thing in 1956. And yes, you're right. The Russians were leaders, as we were. But now there are a number of countries that are altering the weather.
That's right.
And it's extensive. I mean, you go all over the world, and you've got these planes remotely controlled, running at about 35 to 40,000 feet, spewing out whatever garbage they've got in the back of them, and they're altering the weather, among other things.
Well, now, how does that affect the value of the dollars and the numbers, the monetary numbers of a country, of any country, of all the countries?
Well, if you don't have the kind of food production worldwide or countrywide, then you've got a problem, and it's a form of warfare. Just like embargoes are a form of warfare. Tariffs are a form of warfare.
But the food alone could cause the country to collapse, even if the dollar numbers were adequate, in theory.
And they're going to be. They were this year, and public's going to pay for it next year. Who's going to get hurt? The people in the countries where they don't have much money, they can't afford to buy the food, and they die. And as far as the people who are leading things are concerned, they say, oh, that's okay. We want to get rid of the 60 to 80% of the people in the world anyway because most of them are useless eaters. I mean, what do you think the Medical Reform Act is all about? It's about limiting the amount of treatment to people, and particularly people with chronic diseases, and particularly old people, because they don't work anymore. Let's get rid of them. I live outside the country. I wouldn't think for 1 second, if that bill continues, rather than being knocked out by the Supreme Court, I wouldn't think of returning to the United States. I'd be dead meat.
I agree.
So that's what Americans got to look forward to. But part of that syndrome is the manipulation of weather. And you just saw what happened in Australia. They had a drought, and all of a sudden everybody's drowning.
Oh, yeah.
It's deliberate. Now look at Argentina. The wheat crop, a good part of it's been destroyed by torrential rains that they never had before. Last night in Phoenix and Houston and Las Vegas, they had 25-degree temperatures. You got to be kidding me.
Bob, do you think that the shift of putting money into commodities is a result of shortages, or is it a result of putting it in tangible assets? What do you think the switch or the change in philosophy over, say, the last 10 years, what is that attributed to?
You're rigging the market. I mean, you have the underlying problem, and then you have speculation, and then you have the government rigging the market. So you get three factors. I mean, every day, if you notice, that the stock market is rigged.
Oh, right.
I mean, 72% of the trades are done by black boxes, algorithms. They're front-running. They're stealing from the people who invest in the market. The SEC says, oh, that's okay. You know, flash trading, they call it. New name. Go steal all you want. They have a law that says you can't go naked short. For those of you who don't know, shorting means you're going to bet the stock is going to go down. And so these large banks and brokerage firms and hedge funds, et cetera, they go naked short, which is illegal. The SEC will not do anything about it. Absolutely nothing. And someone has got to sue the SEC and the CFTC in civil court for damages on a RICO. And then let's see what happens.
Do you think that'll ever get anywhere, though, Bob? I mean, considering the way justice
Absolutely.
is served.
They can't stop it. A class action lawsuit? Different set of rules, my son.
Well, I hope
it's
so.
It's quasi-criminal.
I hope so, because I'm not seeing much in the way of justice these days. I mean, I did get a glimmer of hope, of course, you know, Obamacare being struck down in Florida, along with the ruling in Virginia. And, you know, that kind of shows me a glimmer of hope. But if you take a look at, you know, the judges that are actually ruling in favor or against, it's right along party lines. These judges have lost their impartiality and just looking at the law, and have really, really just shown their true colors. But needless to say, I think they were absolutely valid decisions in rejecting the constitutionality of this health care legislation. I just don't have much faith that we're going to see it repealed or even the Supreme Court take it down. What do you think?
I agree. And the court system has been bought and paid for years. I get deeply involved in it as a non-legal person, and I couldn't believe the corruption, the alcoholism, the chemical dependency on drugs. Just incredible. And I saw it firsthand. I couldn't believe it. So, generally speaking, don't depend on the courts to do anything that's going to help you or save you or give you an honest decision. It's over. And that's why, if in the next election they can't throw out half of the incumbents, it's over for America. There'll be no other choice but revolution.
Griff, you can speak to that, can't you? Corruption in the court system?
Yes, I've been very outspoken about all of that. First of all, before I forget to say it, I do not believe in my mind that the Tea Party can make any effective changes in our destiny. I think it's a great idea, and I wish them the best and don't stop, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. I think our destiny is pretty well carved in granite right now, and I'm not optimistic. I think the country is pretty much over, and I really believe that.
Well, I believe it too.
It really is a bleak picture when you take a look at just the absolute hole we're dug into. But things that give me hope are the guys like the pilot that kind of pushed back when he said, "No, I'm not getting in that naked body scanner." And next thing you know, there's an uproar. People can make a difference, and you don't know when you're going to catch lightning in a bottle, and some sort of hot button issue all of a sudden blows up in their face. Not to say that that's going to be the thing that brings them down or anything else, but I do see a higher level of consciousness here within the people who pay attention. That's the one thing that I've noticed, that there's more people paying attention, and those that are paying attention seem to be a little more well informed than they have in the past, which to me is pretty good. But you guys are right when you say, can the Tea Party really make a difference? Well, in this last election, what was the percentage of turnover? I mean, how much did they really make a difference?
16%.
Yeah, like
we still
normal
have the same thing,
normal
Joe.
is 6.
Joe,
right.
We still have the same thing in Washington.
Exactly right.
It hasn't made any difference.
Well, that's my point. That the change that occurred, while good, was a drop in the bucket. And, I mean, short of full-scale kick them all out on their tookuses, I don't really see them making that much of a headway towards totally revamping the government. Now, when we come back, folks, we'll continue our conversation with Bob Chapman. This is Joe Joseph. This is Freedomlink Radio on the Intel Hub News Network. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
Are you still paying your credit cards and so-called bank loans thinking that you owe the money? Do you feel like it's your moral obligation but can't see an end in sight? Well, what if I told you that in truth, you don't owe a single penny, and that the banks know this and hope you don't find out? Here's where we come in. Free2Prosper.com specializes in a profound debt repudiation method which challenges the validity of your so-called debts, morally frees you from the burdens, and protects your property. Our system is often superior to settlement, bankruptcy, or consolidation, which often leave you in a worse situation. If you feel the moral obligation to take care of yourself and your family, then I urge you to consider taking action right now. The economy will not wait. If you want to know more so you can prosper through the economic collapse, all while staying honorable and true to yourself, then call 877-417-8393. That's 877-417-8393. Or visit Free2Prosper.com right now.
Hey, it's me, Shepard, the host of the Intel Hub. Check out my live show every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can check it out from my website, theintelhubradio.com.
Join me, Joe Joseph, John King, and A.C. Griffith, Thursdays and Sunday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern for Freedomlink Radio on the Intel Hub News Network.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even